Salut YouTube!
Bonjour YouTube!
I am here with a special guest, Ember,
Hi!
who is currently based in Alabama.
Sweet home Alabama.
Sweet home Alabama. However, we've got something in common today which we're going to jam on, which is that we both lived in France. We both became Francophiles, absolutely obsessed with French culture, and we're both not there at the moment. And we can't get there at the moment. And this video is all about the ways that you can keep living like a Frenchie, I guess have that French soul, that French spirit, without actually being there. So keep it alive, keep the Francophile flame alive, and actually, get into the French spirit when you're at home in a different country. So this is very, very exciting. And I've been trying to connect with more expats and Francophiles recently. I did a chat with Cleaner on fat phobia and body image perceptions in France. That was really interesting as a conversation. Half the people in the comments are saying, I have no idea what you're talking about. Half of them are like, yes, I'm French and I lived this my whole life. And I felt so relieved when I moved overseas and I wasn't so obsessed with my body and all that kind of stuff. Very, very interesting conversation. And Ember is number 2 in the series, and we're going to be jamming in all things keeping the Francophile spirit alive. Before we jump into it, I'd love, Ember, for you to introduce yourself to the community and tell them about your amazing movement, Feeling Francaise.
Okay, so my name is Ember, and like Rosie said, I am based in South Alabama, so right in the heart of the South, and I had the opportunity to live in France for about a year and just explore the country. I obviously fell in love, as an American does when they go to France, particularly Paris. And yeah, so I came back and I was like, I miss it so much, and I have to have a way to, have that outlet for myself that's not just because I know the amount of pictures I was posting on my personal Instagram of France, like people were like, oh gosh, what is this going to do? So I needed a new outlet. And so I created Feeling Francaise, which is a community-based blog and social, hopefully, movement. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's just a place where I wanted like any Francophile that was passionate, whether it was like French movies, French music, like literature, or just food or culture aspects. I wanted them to have a platform and a space to talk about it. Because I know I needed those people, especially, I still do right now. Like, I have things I want to talk about. And honestly, like, as much as my friends love me, like, they might not want to talk about like a new French movie that came out with me. So yeah, that's what Feeling Francaise is. And it's been really great for me, even in the past few months, just to work on just new things that I am feeling inspired by. And so, yeah, that's what Feeling Francaise is, though.
Yeah, and your Instagram is so fun. You're doing reels, like short and snappy videos to be able to show people some tips and tricks all about living that French life. I'm so excited to have you today. And what I love about your platform is that it's so community driven, and you're starting to run events and bringing those Francophiles together around common topics all about France and the French culture as well. So we will, of course, link all of your information in the description box down below so people can come and find you, because it's such a good time. So yeah, I'm really, really excited for this video, and we might as well just dive straight in about some of the tips that we have for keeping that French spirit alive and living like a French person even when you're not in France. And the first thing that we were going to jam on is French culture through TV, movies, cinema. So what do you have to say on this topic, Ember? What have you been enjoying lately?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, we can talk about Emily in Paris, but so for me, I actually have been using a VPN, so like a virtual private network, to still access Canal Plus. So I still keep up. I have a huge crush on Francois Civil, and like massive crush, man. If he's watching, I'd love to talk. No, but I love, I've really been watching Deux Moi. So I think the American name or the English name is I can't remember the title when it's translated. But anyway, I could finally buy that one on just my Apple iTunes library, because there are so many things that you can't purchase. So that's why you have to go through the back to get to Canal Plus. But I love that movie. I love Mon Oncle. And to joke on Emily in Paris just one more time, the scenery was wonderful. If I took anything away from it, and I was like, man, do I miss it. But that's what I'm watching. What about you?
Yeah, so I don't know if the people watching have seen my Emily in Paris review video, but it was relatively scathing. But I did say that it was worth it just to see Paris and just be like, oh, I was there. That's where I
Mhm.
used to go for walks. So that was cool as well. So it was beautiful. And it definitely portrayed the highlights of Paris and made me feel quite homesick for France for sure. So I would say I also used to have a VPN because that very key. I need to renew it actually because it expired. But something that is available quite widely is a series called 10%, so 10%. And it's about the talent agents essentially in Paris, and they're working with real French stars, like the stars are playing themselves in the series, and it's hilarious. And it's, I think, the best French series I've ever seen because it's so real, the way they speak. It's like, it's not exaggerated, like that's actual like office culture in Paris. And I just felt like it was just really representative of the French humor and culture. And I love that one. And I went to the movies recently for some French cinema, and I saw, in English it's called The Mystery of Henry Pick. So it's like Le Mystère d'Henri Pic. And it's about, basically they find this transcript for this book that was never published in this tiny little library in nowhere in Normandy. And anyway, the movie transpires and it's really good, and there's a nice twist at the end and everything, and I really loved that. So yeah, I guess what we're saying is the first thing you can do is just immerse yourself in the French TV, cinema, because oh gosh, do the French love the cinema. Like I think they've got the #1 rate of going, like per capita of people going to the cinema in the world.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. No, that is impressive.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna say too, like even thinking about American films, that again, it's like they capture that magic, at least particularly of Paris. Like you're a classic, An American in Paris with Gene Kelly. Like you can't top those scenes. Midnight in Paris can also have like a little bit still of like the magic of Paris and France. But those are good American films, I feel like too. That like if you're really just needing that hit.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the second point we're going to talk about is the French music. So just jamming on some French tunes to get you in the mood when you're cooking, when you're just walking around your apartment, when you're putting on that ambient French music, suddenly your whole environment like up levels and you feel like 25% classier.
That's true. Yeah, no, I'm like a big fan of putting on French Cafe, like just a playlist on YouTube or on Spotify, and using that as my work background music. I love Gims, the rapper, and he actually has there's a documentary on Netflix now too, which is really good about him. Then French Disney music I also love, especially for people who are looking to like learn, because you're so familiar with like the movies that I grew up watching, like Part of Your World, like Partir la Basse. Like I think about that Disney music when I'm listening to it, and I'm like actually able to pick up words easier, and like it really helps. So I do have a playlist for that if you guys are ever interested in. But it's just like, what is it, 60 Disney songs all in French.
I love that. Yes, we are interested. And I'll also drop my French playlist on Spotify down below as well. It's just got a real mix. I'm looking at it right now. There's like Christine and the Queens, Vianney, Luan, and then like BB Boons and Telephone, and then some more classic kind of bands and stuff as well. So yeah, there's a lot in there. And I know she's Canadian, but I love Coeur de Pirate. She's so cool. Yeah, there's lots and lots of cool stuff on there as well. If you want to get your hit of French music, I'll definitely make sure that we'll link that down below as well, so that people can be jamming along with us. Well, we're very, very far from France.
I know.
Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about is around the French style. So I think there's something that you can do to like step into and embody the French vibe without being in France. And I think you look very French right now with like a bit of, like darker lippy and your hair nice and natural and that kind of thing. And that's exactly it. Like my nails are like green and blue at the moment. That's not French. What I should do if you want to step into that French vibe, it's like a nice red or a burgundy or a navy, keeping it very classic and classy and those kinds of colors. What do you have to say about feeling like the Frenchy vibe? How do you style yourself and get into the mood?
Okay, so I love a classic, just like a white button down and a jean, and then you immediately elevate it with like a very, very like no face makeup obviously, and just like mascara and a little bit of a red lip, and you blot that like it looks like you've already been kissing someone, just it's like immediately it's like you are elevated even if you're in your jeans, and you feel like you just feel good about yourself. Like you have that little bit of like fix your hair a little bit, like you just feel and like good about yourself and confident. And that was one of my favorite things that I did take away from like being in France. Like it's not about like putting on contouring, and you don't want to look like Kim Kardashian really is You know, like it's all about like enhancing just like the little things that you can do to enhance the features that are your favorite about yourself or that you love so much. I love that because like my best confidence always comes when I have on like a little bit of lipstick and mascara, and then I'm good to go. And there I am.
Yeah.
Like,
and how good is that in terms of saving money as well on your makeup bill? Like I remember my makeup bag, I used to have like highlighter, shimmer, contour, anti like concealers, like the red, the green, the like, it was just everything. And they can really sell you on that as a woman, right? And now I think after living in France, it's like, yeah, I feel probably the sexiest when I have my hair down, messy, like a bit bedhead, as you said, smudged lippy, and just, yeah, feeling quite natural actually. And how confident do you appear when you're owning that and you're not feeling like you have to hide features away? So absolutely. And you know, what surprised me when I first moved over is that they're not doing like fake tan or fake nails, like getting their gel nails done or anything like that, which is like bigger, definitely in the New Zealand culture.
It's too, for sure.
Yeah. And that's also quite freeing in a way. It's sort of low key, easy maintenance, but just still a little bit a hint of a special touch. It's kind of like when you dress, I feel in France, like you might wear like a simple white blouse, for example, with jeans, but that white blouse might have like a little detailing on the collar, just a little pop of something that catches the eye and makes people notice.
But the simplicity and everything is just, that's what I've tried to still incorporate in my style. And there are definitely days where I'm wearing something and I was like, if I would have been in France, like walking out of my apartment in this outfit, that wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, but that would not be okay. You would have had like, they can get quite aggressive, eh? Like they can give you dirty looks. Like if you're showing like too much skin or like bold colors or something, they can be like, ugh, like feel like almost feeling sorry for you.
I know. It's like, oh, you needed to step out of your apartment to be noticed that much in that outfit. But no, that I definitely, it's the simplicity that really, I feel like is sexy and confident and any way to dress and even do my makeup. So yeah,
absolutely. And that, yeah, just a nice fitting shirt, and it's all about the lines, right? So if it's like, if you've got a plain white t-shirt on, just add a nice blazer to give you a bit of shape. And yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And what about one of the biggest topics of French culture in general, but the food?
Oh my gosh.
How do you cope being based in America?
So the thing is, I am a vegetarian and I've been a vegetarian for a while, but like I do miss like, because I know like obviously, you know, French food can be considered meat heavy. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like I miss really good bread because I try and not eat a lot of it here because I feel like it's just not like the same. So
no, it's not.
I don't know, like I just miss being able to get like a good baguette, like a good one. And I have tried to make my own, and the first time it went so well. I was like, this took forever. These are the most beautiful things that I've ever like created and with my hands. And then the second time I did it, and I totally left out some main ingredient, honestly, because they were flat and like like it was so bad. But I have really tried to, for myself, invite friends over. I will create some kind of meal. And like, I just want people to be, obviously COVID has changed this, but like, I want people to be around my tiny, tiny table and just talk about stuff, good food and fine. But yeah, that's where I'm at there. Like, I just love, it's still like being able to like have the food be an experience for people in the process. Like, ugh.
Yeah, that's it. It's sort of like, and yeah, having those long discussions over a long meal that just sort of seems endless, and it's sort of course after course after course. Absolutely. And didn't you do a grocery shop recently where you tried to buy like French inspired ingredients, like, you know?
Like, which definitely, it's on my channel, but like I spent more money like thinking about what I would have spent on those items. Like it was all French imports at I went to a fresh market. And the cost difference of what I probably would have spent in France compared to what I spent in the States, I was like, this is insane. Yeah. But like, you know, you found like the classics that, except I had a really hard time surprisingly finding a really good bottle of French wine. Like that was what was so surprising. There were so many Italian wines in that store. And anyway, I just miss it. Like I miss like different corner stores where you could go and just like get good stuff. Here it's an adventure and you look for it. But that's what makes it fun too, because like you never know when you'll stumble across something that also takes you back. So
yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest difference in New Zealand is that all of our cheeses are pasteurized, so you don't get that like gooey, smelly cheese.
yeah.
But there is a place in Wellington. We're quite lucky actually. There's like quite a few French cafes, and there's Le Marché Français. And that's really cool. They import things directly from France, even saucisson, cheese, pâté, like the crème de châtaigne, like the chestnut cream, like all of those bits and pieces, little like bio biscuits. Obviously, it's not everything, but it's quite a huge selection. But the prices are such that it's more of a like a birthday treat, or like I'll do a big haul for Neil's for his birthday or Christmas or something, but we're not shopping there weekly. But when we do go, oh my gosh, it feels so good. Like, how come the bread can't export? That's what I don't understand. Why is it never the same?
I don't get it. Of all places too here, I found that Costco had the best, like, like that resembled a French baguette, like taste and like texture wise. Of all places, Costco though, like that was super unexpected because you think like, oh, maybe Whole Foods or someplace that's like a really fancy grocery store, not like buy in the masses, which is also so opposite of France. Like,
But hey, if it works.
You know, it was good.
Yeah, but I do miss that, going into the cute little, that's what I remember from Paris, is that every street has everything you need to survive. Like, it's got the corner store, it's got a supermarket, it's got it, like everything is kind of, you don't actually have to venture far at all. Like in your neighborhood, you've got everything you need. And yeah, those stores when you walk in and there's like, yeah, the fresh fruit and veggies, and then the nuts, and then the cheeses and the meats, and the, you know, it's just like a cozy store, and you've got your basket. It feels so good doing that shop. And the products just feel so whole food, you know, not a lot of packaged stuff and that kind of thing. So that's something that I miss a lot. Definitely. It's just, the food and the culture around the food, and the taking the time. And that's another thing I think, is that to live more French, slow down and enjoy your food, you know, like prioritize whole foods, cook at home, like experiment with flavors, enjoy the taste, be conscious, like don't be watching the TV and just putting, like shoveling the food into your mouth as we do here in New Zealand. Like actually just turn everything off, chat with whoever you have with you, or even just listen to some music alone and enjoy the savors, right? Like enjoy the flavors that are coming through, and appreciate the food over a long period of time. And I think even doing that would make you like 50% more French.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like as you're enjoying the process too, like going back to cooking, like, you know, it is popular, you know, you here in the States, you go to a restaurant, like the servers like immediately come to you, and like you are rushed through your meal. And so, you know, I like to cook at home anyway for that reason, but like it's the same thing of, man, like, you know, there's a reason why I don't own an air fryer for myself, or like what are they called? Like, I don't even know. It's the thing that cooks food super, super quickly. I can't believe I can't remember the, like, I'm like, no, I need to like really press this tofu for a really long time to make sure it gets, but then I'm working on the sauce, and, you know, 45 minutes later, and, you know, play the French Disney music or whoever you want to listen to. And, oh, it's a night.
Yeah. It's a mood. That is a mood. Like, you know, put in the French music on, experimenting, adding loads of garlic to whatever you're cooking. And just, I'll never forget that, like going over in the south of France, it's really big just to have like as a dressing, oil and garlic in your salad. So it's just like leaves, oil and garlic. And I was just like, at first I was like, oh my gosh, this is so strong. And now I'm like, garlicky lettuce. I'm just looking at your super cool prints behind you and stuff. So what about, do you have any tips for French decor, or because I find that's very Paris, I reckon, having like the cool prints like for different frames and that kind of stuff on your wall. Yeah. Do you have any other things that you like?
Not the bats that are still up from Halloween. Don't tell anyone I didn't put them down yet. They're very cute. But yeah, so for me, like, what I've really loved is that I shot a lot of film photography, and I have so many prints of, you know, like places that meant a lot to me. So like from my apartment window, oh gosh, I mean, pretty much, they really are everywhere. I think I counted like the Paris references in my apartment, and it was a lot. But I definitely highlight the photography, or like you can purchase prints from so many different people online and support their small businesses too, which is great. Yeah, and so there's a red print, that one in the background. And I studied music in college, so it's very important to me. And I found a sheet music page of Moulin Rouge music. And so that's
cool.
But like finding those little things, because it doesn't have to be something that blatantly says like France with like the stereotypical.
I love Paris hat. Like,
right.
Yeah,
For sure. Like you can find like, you know, little aspects of French culture. So whether, I mean, if you're super into cooking, like thinking about maybe like figuring out, like for me, I do love minimalistic prints. And so like words that are pertaining to cooking, like putting them somewhere in your kitchen or little things like that. But yeah, I definitely have like looking around sprinkles.
Even that cushion behind you, that's like the French flag, isn't it? And the colors. I don't know if that's on purpose.
Colors, yes, which I love. Like, oh my gosh, I love a red, and I love the French blue. Like that blue color it's always been my favorite. But
okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think for me, it's when we came back to New Zealand, we bought our house, and we put because of everything we had towards buying it. So I still haven't really furnished this place how I would like it. But when I have a birthday and things like that, people get me like nice scented candles that it's like Provence or lavender and like little bits and pieces like that, which help as well. Like just little touches that make you feel a little bit more Frenchy. I don't know, just it's about, again, that simplicity, that style. I'm lucky to be in a kind of an older house, so that at least it's got some charm. I think it would be there's a little bit of and so when I'm thinking about furniture and stuff, I can think about more old-fashioned looking things. But like seeing your prints behind you, it makes me want to go down to the La Seine and just like go rummaging through all of those.
So that's actually another, I found an old French magazine, and it's in a frame over my bed. I think it was when I was in Bordeaux, actually, like at a random market. And it's like not obvious that it is, you know, my love of France in a frame, but like to me, it means something. So
yeah, for sure.
To Francophile your home though. And books. You have to have books that you have read. Like you have books.
Yeah, you can't just pose them on the on the bookshelf and be like, look how cultured. But yeah, absolutely, French books. We've got a lot of French comics as well because, you know, I've got a French husband, and every French boy and man and woman as well, but they've got so many comics and they love their comics, like, which is really sweet. And like I know it's from Belgium, but I got really into Asterix when I was a little kid. So when I went over there, I was like, Asterix! Like I'd forgotten about it, and I was just like, wait, it's cool to read comics as an adult? Yes! But yeah, anyway, but even if you don't speak the French language, so obviously speaking the French language could be a way to keep the French spirit alive. However, if you're not there yet and you're not speaking or learning the French language, I think the minimum thing you can do is swear in French. This much we can do. And there's just something it's just so much cooler when you're like, oh, putain.
Oh. Well, and I feel like for me, like I say putain all the time, like again, with that slight attitude of like, oh, God, like putain.
Yes.
But I love that no one, like one, I probably look insane. Like no one probably knows what I'm saying unless I said this. But no, it definitely like gives you even that like attitude of the day of like, oh God, but like it's so fun. It's a little character. But swearing for, and then you don't look offensive to people around you. Like if some people are like, probably don't want to hear that. Like you can just learn a few French swear words. So
yeah, and speaking of the French attitude, I think there is something about like, what does it mean to be French? And for me, I associate that with like having debates and discussions and like being like unapologetic about sharing your point of view, and the swearing as well, like getting exasperated easily, right? So it's like maybe your browser is taking a bit longer than usual to open, and you're like, like, you know, and so it's like having a bit of that French attitude as well, of like that kind of like, I'm quick to anger and quick to, you know, I'm quick to be like, to feel emotion or to get pissed off. Or to,
Yeah.
Yeah. And also something that my husband does that drives me freaking mental. But it's part of the French culture, which I love generally, just not when it's happening to me via him, which is playing devil's advocate. So always trying to make you see the other side, you know, even if they agree with you, they'll play devil's advocate to enrich the discussion, and they'll purposely be like quite confrontational or like, you know, just to expand your thinking. And then they'll be like, oh, I'm on your side. Like, I totally agree. And you're like, why were we just debating then? Like,
I just like got my heart rate up over this. I just
yeah.
like that was annoying. No.
Yeah.
Devil's advocate, but I definitely am the person that you want to be the devil's advocate too. So, because I'll snap.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you find yourself doing that with your friends as well? It's just like not holding back on your opinion now and just kind of be like, oh, I'm not sure I agree with that because, and like kind of, you know, going in for it.
Yeah, no, and that's just been expected of me. I guess my parents raised a little sassy French-esque child anyway, but
it's in your soul. Yeah, for sure. And then I think like the last thing we wanted to talk about is just, and we spoke about it a little bit with the food, but in general, slow down. Like, we don't need to, of course, the world has slowed down at the moment. Lots of, quarantines and isolations and curfews and all sorts of stuff. But in general, I just imagine it was normal life. There's that hustle and bustle, especially in the US, at work culture. Like, you better be checking your emails at 10 p.m., you know? And it's a lot. It's a lot. And I think the French are good at having those very clear boundaries. I mean, it helps that they're enforced by the state. You know, you are allowed to finish work and not check your emails again till the morning. Nothing's ever that serious that you would need to like eat into your evenings and your weekends. I mean, that happens in French companies. I'm not going to say it doesn't. Working at L'Oreal, that happened. Right. But there were more so sprints rather than it being a consistent thing that is expected. And people would call you out on it and say like, you should take some holiday because it's not normal how hard you've been working for the past 3 months.
Yeah. And for me, I think what I've tried to adopt from that would be, I work in marketing, particularly in social media. And like, as much as I'm on social media all the time for work and also obviously for my personal life, because we're all, you know, invested, I have like really made it a challenge to myself because it makes it a little bit more fun, but like lowering my screen time and things like that. And just making sure like I don't have to have my phone, like if I'm in my apartment, like it can just like, I don't have to check it all the time. Like it doesn't have to be by me. And that, because for me, like my phone is associated with my busyness and feeling like, oh, I need to do something else, or like I'm not working hard enough right now. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. It just comes back to being more present and enjoying life now rather than like, grinding away that you're so blind to, you know, like how you're currently feeling. And also just making that time, not to say that I don't know, life's just peachy and perfect, but I do think that French people do make more time to eat in the evening, to wind down. They have like this concept of having a good life hygiene. And I think all those things we know we should be doing, like just not looking at like reading before you go to sleep, not looking at your phone and all that kind of stuff. They're just that bit better at it, I think. And I think it helps as well for them to just relax and zen out a little bit more rather than being these like super anxious and engaged, like energizer bunnies. Like there's pros and cons to both, but I think it's very much in the French spirit to enjoy your evenings, enjoy your weekends, enjoy your holidays, and try and be a little bit more present day to day, just really savoring the meals you eat, the conversations you're having, all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I hope this has been really helpful for fellow Francophiles out there who maybe they've been planning to go to France or, you know, have family in France or like kind of like me feel very far away and very stuck and not able to get back to France at the moment because there are so many things that you can do to keep the Frenchiness going.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have anything cool coming up for Feeling Francaise? Any events or content that you're going to be working on? I know that you shared an awesome crepe recipe on your Instagram, which I'm very excited to try.
Yes, and so easy and such a classic like French staple to just be able, and it's so impressive too to like whip out, like if you're hanging out with friends or something like, oh, does anybody want like, and then you just have everything and it's great. But no, as for like friends or content that's coming up, I have some ideas with some friends that we're just trying to, like watch some movies together. And anyway, so that idea is developing obviously, but yeah, I have a lot of stuff planned for November, particularly as it's my birthday month, and I want to
Cool.
go big with a lot of my stuff. So lots of new
Cool.
videos, and then also launching some fun stuff that you'll have to see on Instagram. So
Perfect.
yeah, I'm pretty pumped about it.
Yes. Okay. I'm so excited. So we'll leave again everything down below so people can come and find you. I'll definitely be following along as well, so people might see me hanging out there as well in the community. And yeah, otherwise, thank you so much for coming and jamming on these Francophile topics with me. It's been awesome.
You will be able to travel soon enough, hopefully.
Yeah, we'll just travel through our conversations. We'll travel through. We'll travel at home using this video.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone here watching has any other tips for feeling Frenchy, for keeping the French spirit alive when you're not in France, I would love to hear them down below as well, and hear some of the things we might have missed. But otherwise, thank you so much for being here. And to everyone watching, I will say, à bientôt. See you next time. Bye.